Just making sure we're live, because YouTube will say we're live, and then it takes a couple minutes. All right, we're live. Groovy, groovy, groovy. Sound check. Let me do a sound check. Sound check. Let me do a sound check. All right. We're off and running. Good morning on this rainy Tuesday. Welcome to another Procreate stream. But oh, so much more. So today we are going to do a Chaos Space Marine for the Warhammer 40 from the Warhammer 40K universe. It's going to be for the Battle Barge 2026, and we're also going to do top 5 board games, opinionated, of all time. What's up, Carrie? So, as always, I'm Dax. I'm an independent artist. I also GM on the side professionally, and I am part of the Battle Barge crew, which is a tabletop gaming cruise, annual tabletop gaming cruise. The Battle Barge has its own narrative for their tournaments based in the Warhammer 40K universe and also for the campaigns that I run. And that narrative is constantly progressing. It's the backdrop for some live streams that you'll see on my channel. Those are campaigns that directly affect the narrative between the annual barges. And I do all of the original art for everything I just described. And today that's going to be no exception. So I've got a bunch of pieces that I have to do for the campaigns and for the narrative itself. So today what we're going to do is we're going to do one of the Chaos Marines. And I need to do a VTT token for it, which is virtual tabletop token for it. So it's going to look an awful lot like this guy when we're through. We're going to put it on a miniature stand, kind of like that. Oh man, I don't really like. Good thing I didn't save this because I'm not really happy with that. Why are his robes down there? Oh, that's much better. Anyway, so this is the same template. I've got templates galore. I've got templates for cards, for tokens. So this is the same template that we'll use for our Chaos Marine when we are done. I generally like to do for tokens, I start on standard paper, 11 by 8.5, 8.5 by 11, however you prefer to view that. So we're going to open a new canvas, paper sized, and that's what we're going to use today. And as always, again, if you have a top 5 that you'd like to see, make sure to chat or comment that. If you have any requests for me to go over in Procreate, make sure to chat or comment that, and we will do so. Clearly my art glove is not very good. I guess that's why we have cleaning cloths. Got some icky fingerprints on my screen here. What was I saying? Oh yeah. So chat or comment any questions that you have. You can really ask me anything. I'm an open book, and I have truth tattooed on my hand right there, so I have no problem being honest. So AMA, drop any requests for Procreate tactics. Drop any questions on Procreate. Drop any ideas for top 5. Drop your top 5. I'd love to see your top 5. Again, these are just opinionated. So what I think are the best 5 board games, I assume I assume, recognize, even expect that you should have a different top 5. I know what one of my top 5 is. I'm going to go ahead and put it in there. I don't know what it is my number 1, but I do like it a lot. I'm going to start it at number 2 is what I'm going to do. Huge fan of this game. And I know another one as well, so I'll put that here. And Carrie, you know this one. Okay. So those are definitely 2 of my top 5 board games of all time. Clue's not bad. Clue's not bad. I've got a very diverse board game palette. So when it comes to the classics, my inclination is to put the classics in, like Monopoly. It's an inclination to put Monopoly in. Not only um, have I had a lot of fun times, but it's just a standard nostalgic hit, right? So you kind of expect that Monopoly is going to be in the top 5. Especially, oh my God, does anything start fights like Monopoly? I think not. Reichbusters is probably going to be in my top 5. Does that count as a board game? That's the question. I think it does. I think it does. So Reichbusters is probably going to be in my top 5. I'm going to go ahead and put it in there because I really like Reichbusters. I'll put it right in the middle. I will also spell it right. Yeah, there's lots of classics to go through, isn't there? Does Labyrinth count? It probably does. Oh man, does Hero Quest count? It probably does. It's going to be a quick top 5, maybe. It's going to be like the last one. We're going to get the first 4 in like 45 minutes and then take forever on the number 5. Okay, so anyway, I'm going to grab a pencil. So sketching. I'm already on peppermint, which is my favorite. If I get black, I've got black. Oh, you know what I should have done is I should have gotten a, I need a good picture of a multi-melta. The question is, do I want the split barrel or the old school one? I kind of want the old school one. Okay. Tell you what we're gonna do. Why is the pad not transmitting? That's interesting. Let's try again. I apologize, I didn't notice that it stopped transmitting. My streaming software did have an update this morning. Hopefully that won't cause issues, but it looks like it might be. Still good, still good. All right. So all you missed was me setting up the page and getting some pictures. I went over this in the first, I think in the first live stream Procreate lesson, but there's two ways to reference photos, or I mean, yeah, it's photos, but there's two ways to do references in Procreate. Um, I like this one the best. You simply select your reference. You can keep it on hand or wherever is best for you. The other one is you go to Canvas, you go to Reference, you go to Image. There you go. And then this one you can move it wherever you want to. So there's two different ways to do that. You can use whichever one you prefer. So, excuse me, I did not sleep well last night. So that's the one we're using. Okay, which is cool because that's the mask that the Primaris copied. So this is the Primaris armor. Primaris are the new Space Marines, the new Astartes. Astartes are the iconic warriors in Warhammer 40k. So the new ones, the big ones, they wear the Tacticus. But I think this is the one we're using today. Pretty sure. I'm just getting an idea for the sketch. You don't have to recall everything. We're still going to keep it. But what we are going to do, don't need that. What we are going to do is we're going to select it. We're going to use 3 fingers to cut. And then we're going to paste. Okay. Much better. And then, do I care that that's there? I'm probably going to get rid of that reference. I'll probably do it the same way. I'm not a fan of that reference. The biggest reason to use that particular type of reference is, or that is the actual reference as far as Procreate calls it. The biggest reason to use that is if you don't want someone to know that you were referencing. It's really wonky. It's hard to maneuver around. It's really hard to zoom. So I'm just going to do the same thing with that. Okay. So this is the multi-melta I was talking about. And these are the actual bits from a Devastator in the tabletop. Okay. Now originally these things, so originally these had like a one piece. And I think some of the 30Ks show that. I'm pretty sure they've still got them available. I might do the one piece. I'm probably going to do the one piece. We'll see. Okay. And then we'll just put them in a group so that when I need them, they're there. All right, on my board games. So Marvel United is a chibi Marvel board game that you play in a circular faction, and it's really group based. There's solo modes and shit like that, so you can play anywhere from one player up to 8 players. Um, if you're playing 8 players, there's 2 teams of 3, and then there's a supervillain. Oh no, that's not right. That's just 7 players. So there's 7. You can play 7 players, 1 to 7 players. And in the 7 player, one person plays the supervillain, and then there's 2 teams of 3. Yeah. And it's super fun. It's really simple. It's easy to pick up. I didn't check to make sure we were still streaming after all that. We are. Okay. So yeah, Marvel United is really fun. It was made by Cool Mini or Not. I say was because the odds are we're not going to see anymore. Cool Mini or Not is probably not long for this world. Last year, the change in governmental administration was pretty catastrophic for a lot of the gaming industry, and they were one of the parties to get hit terminally. So they're currently trying to roll out the stuff that they had put in motion, and then after that, I don't think they're going to be around. They've sold off a lot of their IPs. They haven't sold off the United IP yet, but I think it's because it's backed by Marvel for the most part. Um, Not monetarily necessarily. I meant support-wise. So, yeah, I don't think there's going to be any more Marvel United, which means I have 100% of everything there is. They set up a DC United, but it was supposed to already have been out, and it is still not out. Um, no verified date as to when it will be out either. So DC United might just not ever come out. Um, but Marvel United is super fun, super fun. If you can get hold of it, I highly recommend it. There's a lot of it, a lot of it. Getting hold of all the exclusives will cost you quite a pretty penny. Um, but it's really fun for all ages. The miniatures come unpainted, so you can paint them yourself, which is added hobby there. Reichbusters, I'm iffy on whether this one is a board game. You don't technically play on a board. You kind of do. You play on boards. You set it up like kind of like Zombicide or those um, Maniac Mansion stuff like that. So you set it up yourself, which takes a good while. You have to pick a scenario. You have to set it up. Um, put in items, put in enemies, etc., etc., etc. But what it is a World War II game where you play Ally Special Forces, um, and you're fighting Nazis, in which Hitler's scientists actually found. My head is so hazy this week. What is the name of it? It's from that popular sci-fi book, The Coming Race. Oh, I forgot the name. I forgot the name of the race in that book. Anyway, it's based on a very popular sci-fi book called The Coming Race, which is really good. And I'm having trouble remembering the name of the race. But the scientists discover them and their technology and their fluid that's used in that book. The second Iron Sky actually dealt with it as well. Krell? Maybe Krell? Something like that. Krill? Vril! Vril technology. So the name of the race was the Vril, and the Nazi scientists in Reichbusters have cracked the Vril technology and resource, and so they're making a bunch of superpowered Nazis and Nazi dogs and automata. It's really, really cool. And there's an expansion where you like go through an alien portal and there's aliens and shit. It's really, 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 really fun. And the characters are really personalized. Like the characters have a good feel to them. They're really three-dimensional for the most part. Flamin' Joe. My oldest boy loved playing Flamin' Joe. Dungeonology is just amazing. It might be my favorite board game of all time. I can't say enough about it. Um, it was made by Ludus Magnus Studios, which they're Italian, and the art is top notch. It's kind of a similar genre to my art, um, similar style. And you play students at a school, like at a matriculation, like a collegiate school, and they study dungeons. So it's not your typical dungeon crawl. So you play students who are going through the dungeon and you're performing your thesis on the dungeon. So you're trying to discover new things. You're trying to uncover what civilization used the dungeon dwells from or comes from that used to dwell there. Um, yeah, that's the whole point, is you're trying to make your thesis. And the whole time, the bosses are not necessarily trying to kill you. Some of the bosses are actually pretty friendly, but they're getting in the way of your performing your thesis. So like there's one that's a drunken satyr that's following you around, and he's trying to get you to drink, and he's messing with you the whole time, so you can't perform your thesis. Um, and then there's also events that occur. It's super, super fun. If you can get hold of Dungeonology, I highly recommend it. And the other two are going to have to wait. Um, we're not doing very much Procreate in this Procreate video, although it's multifold. Okay, so I don't really have a pose in mind, although since he's a Havoc is a Chaos Marine heavy weapons specialist. Since he's a Havoc, we know what we know perspective it's going to be because we're coming, um, mostly bird's eye view because we're going to make a token out of this. But other than that, I almost want to have him with the multi-melta posted on a leg, like put his leg up and the multa's on it. Although shooting a multi-melta with one arm would be kind of cool too, just like Wolverine style. Let's try that. So Astartes armor is a very circular um, top, so you can just use a circle instead of like potato bags and whatnot. You may not know what potato bags are. So potato bags, potato sacks, when you hear that term, when you're doing a pose, you can actually use a potato sack for your pose, is what they're talking about. Um, Now, of course, the potato sack's going to have to be, different shapes, or the potatoes are going to have to be in different areas because of how anatomy is. The same two, I mean, the two forms are not going to necessarily have the same form. So you would do your potato sack like this. This is your potato sack. That's what that means. So that's your base form, and then you go from there. You make your arms. I don't know what that arm is about. Make your arms here. That tie represents the shoulder. These two represent the thighs. Blah blah blah. Yakety schmackety. You get the idea. So when you hear the artistic term potato sacking, that's what it's talking about. And the three circle, two circle, eight circle, or six circle, eight circle. When you hear that, they're referring to circles to get the um, body proportions correct, like two head circles as your shoulders, etc., etc. But that doesn't work with the Astartes either. You can use that for your base form, like you can use that just for getting the idea of where the Astartes is. You can use your circles to get the base form, but you're going to have to do the power armor over it, and the power armor is massive, so you're going to end up with this little head, so it doesn't really work that way. Now, depending on the artist, like with 40K, the crazy thing about 40K is there's a lot of people that do art for it, just like there's a lot of people that do the writing for it. So, as much as I love 40K, sometimes you'll read a book about this character and they describe it differently than in this book about the same character, especially if you're a Blood Angels fan. Like Sanguinius in some of the books, Sanguinius has long black hair with silver, little silver streaks in it. But every time you see a picture of Sanguinius, he's got long blonde hair. So it's really confusing. Yeah. I guess you can kind of go wherever you want with it. And GW doesn't crack down on it, which is really funny to me. Um, so yeah, you got all these blood angels running around with strawberry blonde hair, and like Dante's supposed to have long white hair. Of course, you don't see many pictures of Dante with his helmet off, so I'm not too upset about that. Anyway, I had an idea for a pose. What was it? Oh yeah, the one arm yell, Rark, Wolverine style. So the armor circle is going to be around there. So he'd. Just collar's just a hole. That's what I thought. And we're going to need more room for that multi-melta. Maybe not quite so much. Ooh, I got a cool idea for that other hand, but first we need to get the multi-melt in there. All right, let me get some proportions. Okay, so I don't like that angle. We need it coming more at us. There we go. Okay. I'm happy I went with this side. I almost went with the adverse side because I wasn't looking at the gun, but I picked the right side for the reference picture. Now, I could have just switched it. Um, wouldn't be that big of a deal because you can target something. You can go there and flip it. So I'm not too worried about that. I could have just flipped it, but don't have to because I got lucky. All right. And you can, so with Procreate, you can draw straight lines by holding it. Just draw it and hold it, and then you can move the straight line around. And you can even keep it, if you press down on the pad, it'll actually line it up with the center also. Whoop, excuse me, sorry. So you might want to go ahead and do that to help with your perspective. Um, if you watch the Chaos Beast, you probably saw me do that with the Chaos Beast. So it'll help us with our perspective. Our multi-melta is probably not big enough. Maybe it is. Meltas don't have very big tips necessarily, so that might be around the right size. I think right around there maybe. Because it's coming at the angle. Yeah, I think it's going to be around there. So it's going to be like that. So we're going to need to make it a little bit smaller. Or move it back. I'm going to elect to make it smaller. Oh, man. Some of that's still the sinus infection. Some of it's still in there. Which fucking sucks. I've got a very deviated septum, as you can see, so I get sinus infections like nothing. Alright, I botched that up. Doing even segments on anything is pretty difficult. Not gonna lie. One thing you can do, I'll show you a nice digital art. As you can see, I was gonna do it by hand, so I don't feel bad showing you this. What you can do with digital art is you can circle it with your select tool. You can copy and paste. Look at that. And then you can, since it's getting closer because of the perspective, we can increase the size a little bit, like so. And then you can duplicate that one. You can bring it over here. See what we're doing? See what we're doing? Uh-huh. You get the idea, right? And then look at that. Do it again. Ta-da! We cheated. Yay, yay. I don't feel too bad because I was about to do it by hand anyway, and because it's also just a rough sketch. And then you can select them all, you can group them, and then you can flatten your group. Aren't we cool? Okay, we're just going to get some rudimentary parts of the multi-melt down now, and then we're going to back out a little bit. So this is where that comes in. Is that the same angle? Ish. Ish. There we go. Oh, that was not the same angle. And don't let me give you the impression that sci-fi art is easy, because it's not. If you're a fantasy art is a lot easier than sci-fi art. Although Procreate helps with some of that. That's horrible perspective-wise, because it needs to be like there. There we go. That's a little off, but we'll fix it. Is that right? Yeah. Needs to be between the two. Right around there. Right around there. His scope is off. We're going to fix that. Scope's right around there. Okay. And again, I don't want it perfect yet. We're just getting it ready to be perfected. I honestly think this is event, so we're going to make it event regardless. That's the site. Okay. And then comes the nozzle. Okay, and here's where the hose comes out. The hose connects to here. Hoses, excuse me, connect to here. Right. And then his power pack is a little bit different than the standard. He's basically carrying a big keg. That's not really centered, is it? Okay. And then, like I was saying, I was kind of wanting to do the old school. I didn't. Dang. I didn't get a picture of an older one, which I need to. But they basically come out like this. And then they have holes along the side, like so. Actually, I think the holes are zigzagged. I'll see if I can find one. Is what I'll do. Yeah, I don't know what made it disconnect earlier. It's kind of weird. Don't know. Is this what made it disconnect? Nope. I don't get it. It's really weird. Okay. So, when you add something, it's going to add it on top of the layer that you select. Apple Pencil battery is low. That's pretty funny. So we're going to insert that photo right there. So that's what I was talking about. That's what I'm kind of mimicking here. Boom. And what we'll do is, since my pencil is at 5%, highly recommend Procreate and the Apple Pencil. Fantastic art program, and I've used a lot. Fantastic art program. So the Apple Pencil just plugs into the bottom of the iPad. Now there are multiple Apple Pencils, and of course multiple iPads, and different Apple Pencils go with different types of iPad, so you have to do your homework. So make sure it's charging. Okay, and it is charging. And then what we'll do is, it's a little early, but we'll take our intermission, and when I come back, we will talk board games until that's ready. So take 5, and I'll see you in a sec. All right, so see, it's already at 20%. Doesn't take long at all. 2 more board games. I'm definitely probably going to start digging into classics here. Let's see. Axis and Allies is really good. Old school Risk. Does Nazi Hitler count? Is that really a board game? Nazi Hitler's. Wait, no, not Nazi. What's it called? Secret Hitler. Secret Hitler's fun. Sheriff of Nottingham. That's a good board game. Catan. Pandemic's pretty fun. Rising Sun, also by Cool Mini or Not. Really fun. We have had a lot of fun with Zombicide. Nothing but good stuff to say about Zombicide. That's also by Cool Mini or Not, but that IP was bought. So, like, I think they've got a crowdfunding for a new Zombicide coming up. Pirate-based. Oh man, Cool Mini or Not had a pirate game called Rum and Bones that was so fun. Oh, I loved it. Loved Rum and Bones. There's a fun Pacific Rim game, but that's more like a tabletop game, which is not the same. Let's see. Life, the game of life is really fun. I've always liked that one. Always liked that one. Hungry Hungry Hippos. I saw yesterday that they're putting out a horror movie called Hungry about a killer hippo. Shoots and Ladders, Candyland. Oh my God. Mousetrap. Mousetrap was super fun. That might be in the top five. Does Twister count as a board game? I don't think it does. If so, Twister would be in the top five easily. Hmm. I remember when Dungeons and Dragons was classified as a board game. I like Mousetrap a lot. Might count Mousetrap. Thing is, like I said, I've played a lot of board games. Risk is classic. Yeah, I mean, they call it a Twister board, is the thing. I'm betting that Twister counts as a board game, if I'm being honest, but I'm not going to count it as a board game, even if it does. Because it's not really a board. Although they've got the party game genre now. I bet it's under party games now. Oh, Smog, The Rise of Moloch. Oh, that was so fun. That's a good one. That's probably going to be in there. It's a lot like Dungeonology. Yeah, it's probably going to be in there. It's a lot like Dungeonology, um, in that you have to set it up, which takes a while. That's a really good one. I might have to put Axis Analyzer. Our Hero Quest is so good and classic though. Hero Quest is so good. And they also, so Hero Quest was Games Workshop, the guys who made Warhammer. They also put out a new board game called Underworld that I like a lot, but I haven't played Underworld in a while. Would I say that Underworld is better than Hero Quest? That's difficult. And then they've got a lot of board games. If Blood Bowl counts as a board game, it might. Well, that makes things easy. If Blood Bowl counts as a board game, because you do use a board, the pitch is a board, I think it does. So that makes it easy, and that's the right spot for it. Boom. Zing! Blood Bowl is the original fantasy football. It's the fantasy football where you actually play your fantasy football team. And it's been around for decades, and they just put third edition out. I'm not a huge fan of the whole edition thing personally, but whatever. They just put third edition out, and Blood Bowl is the bomb. And while GW does not like the fact that so many 3D print companies steal their look, there's not much they can do about it. If you start playing Blood Bowl, there are so many 3D sculptors that make their own fantasy football teams. And I will recommend Grebo. Not that I'm saying you shouldn't support Games Workshop. You should. I support Games Workshop. I think you should support the people that put out the stuff that you like. So support Games Workshop. But you've also got to buy the books and the pitches and all that shit and the dice, because they use a specific dice. But Grebo makes really cool fantasy football teams. Yeah. So Blood Bowl's probably my favorite board game. No classics in there. That's crazy. They're all fairly, except for Blood Bowl, they're all fairly new or zany. But even looking past the nostalgia, did I ever play the campaign for North Africa? Is the game actually called the Campaign for North Africa? Because if so, no. Okay, that's enough of a charge for the pencil. We can go ahead and use it. Yeah, I've actually still, even though I'm a hermit now, I've still got a couple of Blood Bowl teams and all of my pitches. All right, let's get back to work while we talk. Yeah, the holes are zigzag. You see, I knew they were, and I didn't get around it enough. It was mostly important that we get it put on there. Placeholder, if you will. Because remember, this is just the rough sketch. Now, when you're doing digital art with Procreate like this, digital art in general, if we were to do the front face first, you can actually cheat as well, because you can just select the front face and then copy and paste that onto the back and then draw your lines to connect them. That would have been the speedy way to do this. That would have been a speedy way to do this. Clearly not what I'm doing. That's also not as rounded. So I'm not doing what I'm doing very well. There we go. Now I think that this is actually smaller. Pretty sure it's much smaller. Like that. Let's see if I can get a better picture. Oh, 2 holes, that's why. Okay. That's a pretty good one. We can actually use that one for some stuff. Ooh, that's a nice one. I like that one. See how this one's the old school? Is that from the Havocs? It's from the Hellbrute, that's why. It's pretty good. It's upside down, but you get the idea. So if you draw a circle and you hold it down with Procreate, then you can actually, it'll make it complete for you, and you can toy with it a little bit, and it'll actually ask you if you want to edit it as well, and then you can twist it, you can pull it, whatever. Okay, but what we're going to do is we're going to select it, we're going to copy and paste again, keep it uniform, shrink it down. Actually, let's do the outside first. About like that. I think it's a little off, actually. Okay, anyway. So shrink it down a bit. Shrink it down a bit more. And you can play with it since you've got that angle. You're probably going to have to distort it. And then just pull it in. There we go. Okay. And then group and combine by flattening. Touch it up. I didn't really need to do this because I know that this thing's going to be a little mutated and it didn't have to be completely symmetrical and all that shiz. In fact, when you're doing orcs and chaos and stuff like that, you don't really want necessarily symmetrical Tyranids. And the angle's a little off as well, so just a little bit. So we're going to move it. I think it's right around there. Actually, I don't even think that's deep enough. We're going to back up before the merge because I don't think it's deep enough. I think we want it like that. And this Space Marine is going to be one of the Space Marines in the campaign that's going on right now. So I think 2 weeks from tomorrow is the next session here on YouTube. This is going to be their Havoc, their heavy weapons guy, and his demonic multi-melta. Yeah, the angle's not quite right. So we're going to take it, we're going to move it down also. It's around there, but we're also going to distort a little bit. There we go. That's looking better. Okay. And then copy and paste, but also shrink because of the angle. Shrink a little bit more so that it's noticeable. Okay. All right. Now the nozzle is not, it's not spherical enough. So we're probably just going to get rid of that nozzle and try again. That's what we're probably going to do. Oh, that angle is still off for the barrels. I wasn't looking. I was looking at I was looking at the busted nozzle, the nozzle that's not right. Doesn't that figure? So let's get rid of the nozzle. Here's what we'll do. So we're going to select it. And you have to know what you want to select here. Like so. And then we're going to cut. We're just going to try again. It beats erasing all that shit. Now, since that's gone, I can actually play with this to get the angle right, though. Okay, so you can't always do that. You can't always get it right. Like if you mess up enough, there's just no getting it right. So don't worry about that too much. Okay. And some of that is what I left right there. It's throwing it off. So that's much better. And then when you're testing something like this, I think you saw me do it in a couple of the other pieces, you can just add another layer so that you can try and get it right. you know you want to get like an oval like that, but you also got to keep the perspective in mind. So the bottoms, you're not going to be able to use Procreate's circle tool for this because the bottom's going to have to be smaller. Now you could do it and then you could play with the distort like I was just doing. You could do that, but that'd be the only way you could do it. Okay. So it's got to be a little flat, but also ovular, like so. All right. That looks good. And then we can duplicate it since we did it on a separate layer, and we can pull it out. Make it uniform. I think right around there. We may have to pull it back again, actually. Or make the barrels bigger. I'm kind of a fan of making the barrels bigger. Let's try both. I think that did it. Oh yeah. And we can go ahead and bring that other one in here too, so we can keep an eye on it as well. Insert photo. Zing. I'm trying to decide which event holes I like better. I don't even know. I feel like the, what is that? 14? I feel like the 14 is too much. I kind of want to use the... Yeah, old school. And I know it's off. We'll fix it in a second. Remember, rough sketch. We're just getting the idea. Yeah, man. move them now because they are going to bump into each other. Okay. I think that top circle's a little off. It is a little off. We could worry about it when we get to the line art phase, but I'll go ahead and do it. It just needs to go right around there. Oh. Okay. And I kind of want to throw some of the old school melt-again stuff on there too. Let's see. Like, let's replace that scope with that housing. Whoa, I don't know what just happened. That was weird. Okay. Yeah, I like that housing. So I'm going to copy that housing. So we want a hose that comes in like so. And keep in mind, we've still got to demonify all this shit. We got to funk it up a lot. So you don't want to get too focused on technicalities. You don't ever know what you're going to change. You can do the demonify first, I suppose, and then do the technicalities. You can do the technicalities first, then demonify them. That's really personal preference. Okay. There, which means there, since you're at this angle, the far end is going to be smaller because of the angle, because part of it's covering it up. You know what I mean? All right, and you've got the chamber. That doesn't have to be pretty right now, it just has to give the right idea, which it did not, because I got to account for the perspective, which I did not. Again, just trying to get the idea right now. Oh, is that? It is, okay. Okay. We'll pretty the rest up when we do the line art, but I think perspectively it's sound. We're just using it as a blueprint, not a standard. Okay. Time to focus on something else. Okay, we got the whole belt, pouches, and chest straps. So, get rid of all that. It's not a great picture of the chest piece. The chest piece comes down here, is what you can't see. But on the 4, I think it connects. So I think it's like that. If I recall correctly. Now, since it's chaos, that doesn't matter too much. But perspective does, so we got to fix that. Okay. It still looks off, doesn't it? I think I see why. It's better. Now we need the straps. And I'm doing more of the same right now. I'm not doing the demonify first, I'm doing the technology first, the technical aspects first, and then we'll demonify. Our head's kind of going to be there. So there. Tell you, one thing I've done really well is pick bad reference pictures. So dark I can't see anything. But they've got little right there. Right there. And that's way too big. I don't know why I got so big. See if I can salvage that. Still pretty big. I think it's mostly the mouth at this point. What's up, Wanderer? So Space Marines, Space Astartes, they are, or Space Marines are the super soldiers of the 40k universe. The chaosified version, Chaos Marines, Chaos Astartes, they have spent a lot of time dealing with the powers of chaos, or even in the warp itself a lot. Um, so they get demonified fairly easily. Let's not say easy, let's say standardly. You see it a lot. You see them get demonified a lot. Possessed, misshapen, mutated. That includes their technology, their armor, and whatnot. I am doing Warhammer 40k, so we're working on a Chaos Marine Havoc. I'm really just getting the technicalities of the war gear and whatnot right now, and then we're gonna. Ooh, that was too much. You're sat? I don't know what sat means. Okay. Anyway, I'm really just getting the technicalities and the pose down and the perspective. Perspective I'm trying to get down. Um, and we're going to focus on details when we get to the line art. Super engaged to continue watching. Okay, well, good. Ask anything you need. You missed breaking down the top 5 board games of all time, but they're still up there. So I thought about, one thing I thought about was having him hold something with that other hand. Um, we'll have to shrink it down some more for me to do that. Which is fine, because it's a big picture. I spent way too much time on that mask. I don't even know why. So we could have him holding a... we could have a Termagant. Not Termagant. Termagant, maybe. That'd be pretty cool. Kicking and screaming. Or Hormagant. Yeah, I like that. We'll do a Hormagant. So he's going to have a little Tyrannid in his hands. That's kicking and clawing. Because I don't really do simple pictures for some reason. I don't like that. If you're following the campaign that we're running, they're fighting water-based Tyranids. But I'm not going to do that. I'm going to do a standard Tyrannid with feet. Because A, I know something you don't know, even if you're watching the campaign. And B, because it'll make it more multi-use. Okay. Pouches. Pouches don't drift down that much. I can brace a little more with that leg. So we'll bend this leg a little bit more forward so that he's bracing. And yes, we could just select it like we've been doing and distort it, but I think I've shown you that enough. I think this one's probably fine. Just add a little bit of the perspective angle. which is going to encompass the knee guard. And on the fours, I believe the feet are more angled also. They are less square. So kind of like that, but a little rounded. Kind of like that, but a little rounded. Not rounded enough. Save time, we'll select and cut instead of erase with the eraser. And since you're just doing, since we're just doing a rough sketch, you don't actually have to erase anything that you don't think is going to get in your way. The trick is just making sure that it's not in your way, that you remember what's integral to your line art. So, like, if you don't erase, you just darken your lines in like that. You're wanting to tell your future self, don't use this, use that, or focus on that. Okay. Ah. Okay. Looking good. That seems a little too forward, doesn't it? Let's pull that back a little bit. Yeah. Good news is the work is almost out of the way. It's almost time for fun. And of course the hoses are going to have some clamps every once in a while. Put a clamp here. Put a clamp here, probably. And there is a hose that leads to the tank in the back as well. And then we'll have one of the hooves in the back. If you're familiar with my art, I don't do an insane amount of line detail. I do focus I focus more on the the poses, the gestures, the expressions, metaphors, the scene itself. Um, I focus on the telling a thousand words more than, you know, shade lines, crosshatch, belts and pouches, shit like that. A lot of art nowadays just it does not make any sense, especially when it comes to like TTRPG art. It does not make their outfits do not make any sense at all. If I was delving through a dungeon, I tell you right now, I would not be wearing a fucking belly guard with 6 belts on it. Can you imagine how long it takes to get ready to go dungeon delving if you've got 8 belts around your belly and legs? It's just ridiculous. Doesn't make sense. When I see pieces like that, I'm just like, I cannot take my mind off of the fact that part of their 8-hour rest is going to be 2 hours of getting ready. And where do they store all that stuff too? It just isn't. I don't get it. And it's the same stupid Todd McFarlane, Rob Liefeld philosophy. They do it because, they think people like it. People like belts and pouches. Studies have proven that people like belts and pouches. Well, I don't really care what the studies have proven. And McFarlane with this whole, I don't care about anatomy. Really? Okay. That is not, so it looks good, but it doesn't look like, the problem is this doesn't look like bird's eye view. So remember, we're coming from a semi bird's eye view, so we're going to fix this leg. Got to fix that leg. Distort. We got to make this leg look like it's bird's eye view. If it's possible. If it's not, we'll just have to take it off. Restart. And I mean, we can play with it. We can tilt it. That's not bad. That's not bad. And I can't say it enough, this is really just to get a generalization as well. So it's not time, believe it or not, it's not time to focus on technicalities. It's just almost time to focus on technicalities. So you can do the same with this one. Make sure it's where you want it. You can have fun with the perspective since the problem is multi-meltas are massive. I mean, they are massive. So it's not that the gun is coming that far ahead of the Marine. It's that the gun is that big. So you can have fun with the perspective a little bit, but also remember that multi-meltas are supposed to be ginormous. Yeah, I think we'll just leave it where it is. All right. Take another peek at our backpack. Circular. So that's got it coming around the other side, which I didn't account for, but I kind of also don't want to do. Let's just say he grabbed it with that hand. Also, I'm not sure that that's really strategically safe. I think that he would probably, he'd be putting the hose more of at risk in front of him. Never really thought about that, but bringing the hose around in front of him like that is really risky. Unless he's firing with just the right hand. I've got him firing with just the left hand. Maybe he's left-handed. There we go. That's what it is. He's left-handed. Okay. Problem solved. Problem solved. But we still got to do hoses right. So it's got 2 housing chambers here. That's probably a little big. So we got 2 housing chambers. We got 2 little balls. Chaosifying those would be pretty easy. And then it dips really low and connects to somewhat of a turbine here. Lots of hoses coming down, so we can do that. Let's dip it lower. This clamp's going to disappear behind his arm, which we haven't done yet. We do need to do his arm. And we need to do his pauldrons. Pauldrons are pretty important on Space Marines. This one's going to be about there, I think. Yep, it's going to be about there. So they are massive pieces of ceramite. Even more so when it comes to the Chaos Marines. So it's probably gonna, yep, right around there. Again, we're getting just the layout right now because we still got to do the chaosifying. Let's swing that one back a little bit, like so. Not big enough. Their pauldrons are mighty, as you can see. So, just not big enough. And some of them got even bigger as time went along. The pauldrons are not as big as a lot of the others. By 4, I mean Mark IV. This is the Mark IV armor. Okay. Oh. Okay, I think it's time to chaosify stuff. So we'll turn off our references. We will... Did I end up making the pauldron too big after all that? I might have. We can shrink that stuff down a little bit. Let's play with it. Yeah, right around there. So that one's going to be a little smaller as well. Touch that up. Okay, so chaosifying. Horns are always good. We can give them horns and like a crest or a crest. I kind of want to keep these vent holes. At least mostly. So we can have fun with the armor. So like the armor's mutating. Like such. And I know that I want his gun to have mutated because in the campaign, he was doing some sick stuff with it for one, but he named it and everything. If you get a chance, you should go back and watch session 1 of the campaign. It's on here. It's super good. And Dylan like named the gun, and it was quite funny. So we went ahead and gave it the demonic keyword and warp powered ability. Yeah, maybe the face is a bit too much. I think the face is a little overdone. I was going to put a face on his armor, but that's so overdone. And now we want to start focusing on details a little bit. Darker lines to set yourself up for the line art. For the straps, what we'll do for the straps is we'll do something like this. Or we could do bones. Although if we do bones though, it's going to look, for one, it's going to kind of look like the Hormigaunt, and for two, it's going to kind of look like a chaplain, a Space Marine chaplain. So we'll do claws like this, but I think I want to make it a little bit bigger. Okay, a little bit bigger claws. right here. Is that right? Nope, it's not right. What is that? Oh, that's the hoof. That's the hoof. See, I should have made the hoof darker so that I didn't confuse myself just then. Need to listen to my own advice. Yeah, that looks cool. All right. And then here you've got like pistons and hoses going into the torso. So we'll use I like the hoses even on Chaos. So we'll use a hose there. For his collar, let's make it a little bit deeper. We're going to do the standard spiky bits. And rivets. I kind of want to put like a horn. Yeah, put a horn on one of these. Honestly, I kind of like the idea of this side maintaining that edgy theme, like asymmetrical. Let's do that. Let's see what it looks like. Let's put that on the outside though. Yeah, I'm really liking that. And then what we can do is we can just have, like on his shoulder pad, we can have the spiky bits. Now these are really more star points than spiky bits. I don't know why I'm calling them spiky bits, but we can have the star points evolving, growing, mutating. Because he's gonna fucking love this. The player is gonna love this. And then here we'll do the 8-point star. I'll go ahead and get it started, but then we'll focus on it with the line art. And the star will just be growing into the rim. See, I told you this is the fun part. Getting your plan down that's really the chore when it comes to character design. Especially if it's something new. If it's something that's new to you, getting your plan down is what takes the majority of the tedious work. Once you get to the actual design part like this, that's when it starts getting fun. See, that's what I'm talking about. Look at that shit. That's what I'm talking about. Helmet's really giving me grief. I don't know what to do for the helmet. I'll probably end up touching this up later tonight and then have the sketch finished by tomorrow, and then we'll just go over the line art together. That's probably what I'll do. I had a top 5 that I was gonna do today that I didn't, so maybe. But like I always say, y'all are welcome to put ideas down. I thought I might do my top 5 celebrity crushes. Let's see. I, some of me, part of me wants to put like frontal horns on this guy, but as soon as I do that, it's going to look like a sorcerer. So, Havocs tend to have the side horns a lot. So I'm tempted to put side horns. Patrick Wilson is definitely going to be on my list. He'll probably be the one dude. Patrick Wilson's probably going to be my one guy on my list tomorrow. Probably. Okay, I like it. I like the horns. I like the horn like that. Pat's probably going to crap out on us here. But I'll keep working until it does. Because that's good for the iPad anyway. Yeah, this was a good choice. Good idea, guys. The horns were a great idea, guys. Should we break one? Should we break one of the horns? Let's break one of the horns, though. Let's do that. It'll add to the asymmetrical theme. Yep, yep, yep. Actually, I think maybe. Let's break the other one. Let's break the other one. Right there. Makes it even more asymmetrical. Because now the side that's going to have more is going to have less. Less is more. Oh, yeah. We need to have fun with these. Let's have fun with the helmet, too. Let's do, like, Ceratosaur. Eyebrows or something. Let's do that. Yeah. That looks really cool. And then maybe I'll think of something for the hoses too, because there's hoses that come down there. Maybe I'll think of something cool for the hoses. Maybe I'll leave them. The technology mixed with one of the things that makes Chaos Marines look so cool is the technology fused with the demonization. Yeah, man. And maybe like a tabard of skulls. What do y'all think? Tabard of skulls? I think a tabard of skulls here. Could look pretty nifty. Or not tabard, but loincloth, I guess, of skulls. Jawbones hanging down separate. Yeah. Good idea, guys, with the jawbone. I dig it. Tomorrow's going to be fun. Doing the line art on this is going to be fun. We're a little over. It's about to crap out anyway, I think. Let's see. 2%. Yeah, it's about to crap out. So, start wrapping up. Tomorrow I'll make sure my pencil is charged so we don't waste, what was it, about 10 minutes on charging the Apple Pencil. A lot of the startup problems today were because of the update. I was not expecting an update to my plugin. The plugin that I use for the iPad, the screen share. So that updated right before I got started. That's what, I guess it cost us about 10 minutes today, but that might have got us into the line art, but I've still got to do something cool for this multi-melta. So if you're still here, if you stuck around to the end, you got ideas as far as chaosifying that multi-melta, throw them in the comments. If you've got an idea for top fives, always throw them in the comment. If you have any Procreate questions or character design questions, or questions, since we're doing uh, uh, Adeptus Carnivalum, if you've got questions about the Battle Barge, you can throw those in the comments as well, and I'll try and get to them. Um, yeah, I'm pretty easygoing. Just any questions, really, any suggestions, throw them in there. Um, but this has been fun. It's been fun. I can't wait till tomorrow. I'll touch some of the chaosification up tonight is what I'll do. Maybe I'll save the multi-melta for tomorrow. Who knows? But I'll chaosify a little of it tonight, and then tomorrow we'll get started on line art. Enjoyed having you.